Feeling friends is this concept that I came up with laying in bed one night. I have all these close friends who have these wonderful stories that can help change the world, life experiences that can help other people believe in themselves, hold tight to their dreams and make their dreams reality. On Feeling Friends, we talk about God, we talk about love, relationships. I have celebrity friends, I have non-celebrity friends. I have church members, family members. But when you watch and listen to Feeling Friends, you will learn and you will laugh. It's a community of friends helping to build each other up. So tune in to Feeling Friends every Sunday on WHCR 90.3 FM, or you can catch me on YouTube at Feeling Friends Radio. All right, I'll see you there. WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. What's up, everybody? It's me, Phil, and I'm back here live in my home studio. We're doing recordings. You guys, thank you so much for supporting me online and at the radio station. I've got a great guest. I've got Anthony Holland here on the show today. Anthony is, I would say, a finance guru. He's going to teach us some tools to get our wealth, our money up, to figure out how to get that long-term longevity when it comes to wealth and building your family. So without further ado, here is Anthony Holland. What's up, brother?
How's it going, man? I'm excited to be here.
Man, I'm so happy that you're here, finally.
Man, Phil, I don't know if anybody told you, but you got like one of the dopest intros on YouTube, bro.
Thank you,
like,
man.
That intro is fire.
I appreciate it.
Like, listen, we can play that 3 more times. Just so
Well, we gotta get a new one coming up soon, but that's a whole other conversation. Listen, thank you so much for coming on air. I've been watching your Facebook posts, motivational posts, I would like to say, where you give people tips and tools. I'm like, man, we talked before about finances, but and I think that they are so apropos for our community, the Black community especially, and then people as a whole, just really helping them go to their finance dreams. So let me stop talking. Let's tell the people who you are.
All right. So my good people out there, for those that don't know me, I'm Anthony Holland. I'm a life insurance and retirement specialist. Been doing this for a number of years. I'm licensed in about 38 states. I have about 22 licensed agents that I train and develop inside the industry. And there's actually a couple hats that me and my wife wear. So we're not like your normal life insurance agents, like the old white guy in cubicles. We actually do a couple things. The first hat is, we're the people, we go out, we teach people financial literacy, we help with financial strategies. That's like hat one for us. We do a lot of stuff on social media. So Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, we got funny videos. We pretty much give the rules of the money game away for free. Because especially for people that look like us, we want y'all to know how this stuff works and how the money game works so you don't get taken advantage of. But outside of that, we also run a brokerage agency where we train and develop agents in the industry, show them how to get licensed, how to make part-time income, but also career change and where they can eventually open up their own office. So that's like our ultimate goal, man. That's our thing.
And how's your wife? I don't know if she's going to be on the interview today or not, because I know she's your partner in the business. How's she doing?
She's good. She's wrestling down the kids. So we got 4 of them. And if she don't take care of them, you're going to see this chair moving back and forth.
It's happened before. You won't be the first person to happen. Listen, I want to get into, before we jump into why you're really here, I want to get the audience to know who you are and your background. So just tell us a little bit about your background and where you're from.
Absolutely. So born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I bounced around to a couple different places. I lived in Inglewood. I lived in Watts. I lived in Compton. Surprisingly enough, the worst place out of all those places I lived in was South Beverly Hills. That's where, listen, it was a Crip neighborhood. It was a lot of trouble.
I used to live in LA.
In South Beverly Hills, like you think Beverly Hills, you think like ritzy, rich, good. I lived next door. This is a fun fact, but I lived next door to the little girl in what was the name of the show? It was what Dwayne Wayne and my wife.
Was it One-on-One? My Wife and Kids.
My wife and kids. A little girl, I forget her name. She actually dated one of my friends' little brother named Marcus. There was a thing. She was like it was funny, but like in LA, that was normal seeing famous people. But that's just like a random fun fact. Lived next to her, but was getting in a little bit of trouble. So my mom actually shipped me off to Indiana, and for like most of my young adult life through college, I was up in Indiana, and that's actually where I met my wife, Taylor Holland. We met in middle school. She was my best friend's little sister. So she liked me during middle school. She liked me when I had my fro. I went through a phase
Oh yeah.
I have a big old fro. I used to pick it out, and I used to go to sleep on it and have like one side slicked up. It's like
Oh,
matted to my head.
yeah,
Listen,
the fro phase is horrible because you don't know because your hair is just a lot.
it was an ugly face, but she liked me during that time, and I was the one that was like, "No, you too young" and stuff like that. I think I'm a year older than her, but like when you in middle school and high school and stuff like that, it was like a big deal.
Yeah.
But we ended up becoming high school sweethearts, and then right after high school, we ended up getting married, and we got 4 lovely kids. We got a 12-year-old, that's my oldest son, Avion. Then we got a 6-year-old, that's my baby girl. Then a Caden, who was 4, and then my last one, it was a 2-year-old, that's a Leia, and that's the one that I'm worried about. That's the one that, listen, there's no earthquakes in Texas. We moved out here to Texas, and that's the one that I'm afraid that's gonna crash this podcast today.
She'll be all right. We'll put her on. She won't be on TV. Let her be on TV.
Okay.
Listen, I want to, before we get into why you're here, what's the importance of a Black father in the home?
Oh man, there's a bunch of importance. So kind of going back to my background, where I grew up at, there were no Black fathers. Like it was normal to see just like moms in the home. That was like the normal thing. So growing up until I was about 12, 13, I thought that was like Black fathers wasn't necessary. It really didn't cross my mind the importance of it. And then I moved to Indiana to live with my brother and his wife, and all my siblings are like way older than me, like my brother's super old. I went to live with him and his wife, and I actually seen a nuclear family. And then I started seeing like how you start raising his kids and discipline and not being able to stay out as long as you want and kick it over so and so house and come back in late. It was rules, like there was rules and regulations, but those rules keep you safe. They keep you in an environment where you can actually mold your mind and you're not out there getting in a situation that you shouldn't be in. So
Absolutely.
The way I look at a Black father in the home, it's like fathers period, but especially a Black father in the home, is critical, it's crucial. So I love it when I see it. Whenever I see a Black man with a kid, man, we just high five, we hug it up, we dap it up because it's like a community, and not they try to say not a lot of us do it, but it's a lot of Black men that's out here taking care of their kids.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of Black men, I didn't grow up in that type of environment, but it's funny because everybody had a dad on my street, which is weird. I think about that now. Then I went to college. My line brothers, we players, everybody had a mom and dad. So it's very important for the family to have a nuclear structure to grow and to be, you just get different things from different people, right?
Yeah.
People in the home. Let's jump into, how did you jump into finance? How did this come along?
So funny enough, right before the pandemic, so I came out of construction. So my background, I had a Class A CDL. I delivered drywall. I was operating a boom crane for many years of my life, and I made good money. Now, I was working 60, 70, almost 80 hours a week sometimes, but I was making a 6-figure income, and that's all I knew. I knew this was good money. Like I had a kid pretty young. I was in college trying to work and take care of the kid and home at the same time, which kind of brought me to get my CDL. Got into the industry delivering drywall. Now, I don't know if anybody knows about drywall, but that stuff is heavy. It's not something you're doing when you're 50, 60 years old. So eventually I had to kind of pivot and find something different. So I was thinking about opening up my own shop, having my own truck. We built up some funds. We moved into Cali for a couple of years to kind of build up a little more money so I could have my own little trucking business. The pandemic struck, it wiped all those dreams out.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a wrap.
It happened to a lot of people during the pandemic. The pandemic really just took a lot of people out and took them to a whole different.
It took me to a whole different industry, and I see that as a blessing. So I was one of those people that actually came out on the other side of the pandemic. Thank God for that, because like California, it didn't care about no pandemic. The prices was still the price. Like they say, the price is the price in Cali. And I'm thinking I'm about to save some money. I cut all my bills in half. I'm like, I'm good. If I do what I'm doing out there, I'm gonna kill it.
Right.
No, it killed me. But a guy reached out to me online about the business. He sat down with me and he was like, "Hey, you're considered stepping into finance." Initially, I wasn't sure because at the time I'm like, I'm not trying to go back to school right now. I'm thinking about doing this trucking business. I got already 3 kids at the time, so whatever I'm gonna do, it has to make financial sense immediately.
Right.
But I ended up sitting down with him. It's probably one of the best decisions I made in a long time, because if I put myself in like a nutshell in a box, I'm 3 things. I'm a family man. I got a wife and 4 kids. But I'm super competitive. I don't know if your audience like competitors. I don't want to bark and stuff like that. I hope y'all chill with that. But I like to compete. After high school, I had nothing to compete for. It was just like clock in, clock out, go to work, come out. We didn't compete for nothing. The industry now, man, we compete all the time. We come after each other for anything, like bonus incentives, these huge like Super Bowl rings, trips outside the country. So we have a lot of fun. That kind of re-sparked something in me. But outside of all that, I'm a Christian, and knowing your podcast, I've seen a couple of your streams, one with a young lady, one with a guy that's an activist in the community. and I watched them, so I know you got believers on here. So I'm a Christian as well, strong faith background, and
I'm so glad you brought that up. That was my next question because we talked about that before. What does God mean to you, and what does your faith mean, and how does that play into your entire life?
Yeah, everything. Absolutely everything. Like I mentioned, like I got a big heart for people, and like the business I'm in allow me to exercise those muscles, for lack of better terms. But before even coming into the industry, what I used to do, man, is I used to read my word, man. Like I wasn't so much of a church Christian. Like I believe in being assembly, going to the church house and things like that. Like I'm not against it, but the way I got saved was literally in somebody's kitchen table, them talking to me about the gospel, me reading the Bible, me making a decision to get baptized. I got baptized with two of my other brothers in Christ. And we went in the water together, came up, and we had like a little Bible studies. We used to come together. It was it's called Dying to Live. We had a Bible study called Dying to Live that we used to have, man. And then we used to say chopping it up and stuff like that. But that was my journey in being a Christian. That's all I did. So I used to spend a lot of time learning stuff about theology, different scientific arguments, the cosmological argument, the teleological argument, and stuff like that. So I got super into that. I used to watch a lot of boring podcasts, like 3-4 hour debates of Christian and atheists and Muslims and stuff like that. Stuff that people will fall asleep on. But when you're in the truck, all you looking at is lines on the road. So that was like entertaining to me. I'm like fired up. So like going back,
that's so important. A faith, when you live by the word, things change. You speak stuff into existence. You walk differently, you interact with people differently, or at least that's how I look at it. That's what my faith has done for me. And God has just been extremely amazing to me. So I just shout out to Jesus and everybody and the angels. So, people, let's go into monies, because people say they always get the scripture wrong. They say money is the root of all evil. No, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. So let's talk about this generational wealth. What's the first step for Black people? Because this show, we're based in Harlem, people of color. What do we need to do to say, hey, I want to create generational wealth for my family, or I at least want to give them something so they can pass on? What's the first step into that?
It's actually a bunch of things, man. And what I will tell you is, outside of having a job, you got to have a side hustle or a business that you're working on. Do something for yourself. That's the first
streams of income, right?
Yeah, because I'm big on that, because I know what jobs do to you. They pretty much lock you into a mindset to get you comfortable. Because even if you're well paid, you're still a well paid employee. They can take that away from you
anytime.
And
you're dependent on, and I have multiple streams. You're dependent on these people to take care of you. No, that's not how you should operate. Right. But go ahead.
Yeah. And whenever you're starting off with multiple streams of income, I would say find a niche that you enjoy and build off of that. Because a lot of people, what they try to do for multiple streams of income, they try to jump out the window like immediately. So they'll have like a dog bakery shop, and then they'll have like real estate, and then they'll go into landscaping, and then they'll have home care, and then they'll do roofing and shingles, and they'll have 10 different things that they're doing, and they'll do them all terribly. So I would suggest start with something that you can hone in on first. So if it's like, I like baking, start off with it like, hey, I'm baking. Then you have a baking channel. Then you have a cookbook then you do YouTube where you're like showing how you did it and stuff like that, how-tos, different tips, and it's built off of whatever the main thing is. You have a main pond, and then you just have different streams from it. That's the first suggestion. The second suggestion is getting life insurance. Like, life insurance is the foundation for a lot of people, and making sure that you're sitting down with the right agent. And with your life insurance policy, you should have something called living benefits in it. Like, so if anybody does have life insurance, I already got that through the job.
Explain that to us. And also, should we get whole or term life? Let's talk about that as well.
Well, I always tell somebody the only policy that really matters is the one that pay out if something happens to you. So I don't have a bias really, because there's different types of categories that life insurance falls into. It really depends on the person and what they're looking for and what they're solving for. Term insurance is usually inexpensive, but it is temporary. It's like 10, 20, 30 years. And in whole life, you'll have it for the rest of your life, but it's a little more expensive. So it depends on someone's budget. But if you're ever working with a company that all they offer is term, you may want to look at different companies, because I know there's companies out there that tell you, hey, get term insurance and invest the rest of your money in the market. The challenge with that is, if the market crashes, you can lose the money that you invest. And then if your term runs out, you have no coverage. So you kind of just throwing your money to the wind. Where there's other ways to invest your money that's outside the market that you can keep it safe and still grow it.
A lot of people, what's embarrassing, and I guess it's not really embarrassing, but I guess it's embarrassing for my family, is that we don't do the GoFundMe. So get life insurance just to bury somebody. If you don't, and that is a way really to pass out generational wealth. If you get $1 million policy and you pass away and you pass it on to your kids, that's a lot of money. Well, not now, but that's still a good amount of money to pay for a house, to do something with, to go to college with. That's how you pass on generational wealth. And I think that's one of the ways Black people can catch up. We won't ever really catch up, but we'll be able to,
get a leg up at least.
Get a leg up. There you go. Right.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And not all policies is just for death. You can. So number one cause for GoFundMe's nowadays is health. Like you got health related issues, and then the GoFundMe's to keep the person alive. Mm-hmm. If you have a life insurance policy, no matter if it's term, whole life, or whatever have you, if there's living benefits inside of it, you should be able to access 70 or 80% of that money.
What does that mean too? What does that mean, living benefits? I've never heard of that with life insurance.
So living benefits that kick in anytime someone gets like a critical injury, chronic illness, terminal illness. Like pretty much if you can't do the 6 daily activities, you can't walk by yourself, eat, drive, bathe, you should be able to have access to your life insurance while you're alive to take care of whatever you need to stay alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So not like health insurance where it just covers hospital bills. This is like hospital bills, medication, but this is also loss of wages if somebody got to take off of work and take care of you. This is the rent is due, car payment due. It's paying for those type of things.
Perfect. Now, what's the next? What else? What other advice would you have for people to help with the generational wealth?
So I would say start looking at trust, because if you're looking at generational wealth, there's a concept that's going around a lot on social media called infinite banking. And trusts are set up by attorneys, but the stuff that goes into trust are usually set up by life insurance agents that know what they're doing. So you got to deal with a professional. But if you can assign policies and things to the trust and have the trust as the owner, you can actually utilize that money. So like, let's say somebody do pass away and $1 million that is now goes to the trust. Then somebody can access that money. So they know they're not just blowing it, but it can access that money to fund the business, to go into real estate, to have land, to have property, whatever it is that you're looking to do to once again get that step up. You can have the trust be your infinite bank. So you're not taking out loans from like a Bank of America, Chase, or Wells Fargo, because that's not what the wealthy do. They take out loans from themselves and then they pay themselves back and they pay back interest.
That's good. I like that. So you also talk on your page, you talk about 401ks, you talk about investments. Let's get into that. Let's give some people advice. And while we're here, I want you to tell people how to reach you right now, and then we'll do it at the end as well. And I'll put it in the link in the bio so people can reach you as well.
I got you. So Facebook is Anthony and the letter N Taylor Holland. That's our Facebook page. Instagram is Anthony Holland 77. I believe my wife's is Taylor Holland 1993, I believe. Right. So I have to double check me on that one. And then our TikTok, I can't remember. Listen, get back with you on TikTok. I don't do a lot of TikTok.
I don't either. Yeah.
It's a scroll hole, so I stay away from it. My wife does a lot of posting on there for me.
Okay.
I just don't get it. Food. I'm a foodie, so like as soon as they pull up food, I'm there for like 10 minutes. That look good, man. I gotta make it out to New York. Like they gotta get me. That's my traveling plans based off of what I want to eat.
Right.
But what was your question again, brother? I got home.
Let's talk about 401ks. When you're at work and you're investing, you're trying to figure it out. You know, you got mutual funds, you got 401ks, you got the Roth. What do we do when we say, okay, I need to figure out what to do, but I need to maximize myself. I need to figure out how to maximize my retirement and things of that nature. What should a person do?
No, that's a great question. So whenever you hear stuff like 401k, 403b, if you're like a teacher, nurse, IRA, TSP, 457, all these things are tax codes. And if you look up in the IRS book and you look up 401k, this just lets the government know how much they tax you on this account. That's pretty much what they are. Now, they're looked at as retirement plans, and we're not like against them. There's nothing wrong with them. We just don't believe in putting all your eggs in one basket. So use it as an investment to grow your money. But if you plan on retiring with that money, you have to understand how it works. To like, hey, what's the taxes that's going to get hit on this? What happens if the market crashes? Is it money promised to me? Start finding those things out, and then you'll know where to go with investment. I know a lot of people look at Roth IRAs as like an alternative. Those are good as well, but there's two things with them. The max you can put into them is $6,000 a year. So it doesn't always create a healthy retirement for most people unless you start very young. And then it's still tied to the market. So it is subject to loss still. The best thing is putting your money somewhere where you can grow it, but you don't have to worry about the risk of the market.
Perfect. Now, do you dabble in the Wall Street at all? Stocks?
So listen, like everybody else, I got Robinhood. I had a little bit of piece in like crypto and Ethereum and like Apple stocks and stuff like that. I dabble in it, but I do it for more fun. I don't look at it as something that I'm going to get any sustainable like wealth from it, but I do kind of shop the market, play around and stuff like that. But I have a different understanding of how it works. So if I'm looking at like something that's actually going to be passed down to my kids, I'm looking at insurance-based products. Like, hey, what's going to be there when I need it to be there? Pretty much.
So let's go into your business, and I know you can bring clients on. Let's talk more about that and how people can get involved with you and to come on to be a part of your team.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different positions we're looking to fill. So me and my wife are always looking for coachable, competitive couples. Everything that we train inside the financial industry, we train you directly. Like our parent company is Integrity Marketing Group. That's the largest insurance marketing organization in the U.S. They have an office, that nice, pretty diamond-shaped office out there in good old Dallas, Texas. But we teach people. We have stuff. A lot of our work is done remotely, but we do have a brick and mortar office out in the Carrollton, Addison area, if you're familiar with Texas. And we train and develop agents in the industry. We teach you financial literacy. We teach you how to go out and have a conversation with the community. We teach you how to help families with both life insurance, but also retirement planning, and have them have an overall healthy financial strategy for themselves.
What would you say to a person who is, I'm in Harlem and I'm, you see a person like, I am living in the projects. I really don't have a lot of money, but I want to start some kind of future for my children. They have a good job and I want to be able to have some kind of money and get a return. What advice would you give them?
So if you have a business, you can actually pay your kids up to $12,000 a year, and you can stuff it into what we call a fixed index annuity. So you stuff that money into an annuity, and this is creating wealth. Even if you just did a one-time, hey, my kid is 10 years old, I'm gonna put $10,000 in an annuity. By the time they get to an age where they can touch it, that money grew and it was safe the whole time.
And what's an annuity for those that don't know?
Annuity is another type of investment. It's like a retirement plan, just like the 401ks and IRAs. But the thing is, there's no age limit on when you can start one, and they have the potential growth of the market. You can get it usually like 60 to 80%, but you don't have to worry about any of the market downside. If the market crashes, the principal money is always protected.
Okay.
So I know most people are familiar with like the commercial. I need cash now. The call JG Wentworth, I think, but that type of annuity is not the same thing. There's different types of annuities. The annuity that they're talking about is not the same that I'm talking about. It's a completely different concept.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. Any more tips to help people? But I want people to reach out to Anthony. I want to reach out to his wife because they have really great tools and tips to help develop your life, develop your portfolio, and get you where you need to. Because we need to close that gap, or at least we need to be in a position where we can say, hey, I can take this 401k and buy a house. I can do this and do that. There are so many things that you can do with just having a financially backed security for yourself.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And speaking of houses, like if you have equity in a home, you can pull out money from the equity from the home and be able to invest it in different places and have the money growing in two places at once. There's a bunch of different strategies that you can do. Just for the sake of the platform, I want to like get y'all super technical details, but there's a bunch of different things that you can do in order to have tax-free wealth and still be able to participate in growth and still be able to have access to it when you need it. Because that's what it really matters. Because in the stock market alone, there's something called unrealized gains, where you can have a year where it exploded, but if the market crashes the next year, that $10,000-$20,000 that you grew, you never got to enjoy it. Like get somewhere where if the money grows, you get to keep it. Get the money and keep it. That's what we all about.
Absolutely. That's really good. But this has been a great interview. It's a lot. But if you reach out to Anthony, he'll be able to sit down with you, walk you through whatever you need to do. And you all sell insurance as well, correct? Is that what you said?
Yep, we help sell insurance, and we'll do personalized plans. That's why the conversation is like general, but we actually have to sit down with somebody and do what we call a financial analysis to figure out what's best for them. Because there's no one size fit all. When it comes to insurance, retirement planning, growing wealth, it's not the same thing as like you buying a car or you buying like groceries or something on Amazon where the price is the price. The price isn't the price with us. It's like, what is it that you need? What's your budget, and what are you solving for? We have to figure
absolutely. And it's so important to get insurance, especially at a young age. If you get insured at a young age, you get at a good price and you keep it for the rest of your life, that's very, very insurance. What's the purpose of, I don't want to jump this in, supplemental insurance. So you got the insurance at work and then you add it on. What's the importance of that? Is there any, should you get to?
Yeah. The thing is, your insurance at work, usually like the pros of having insurance at work is sometimes the employer pays for it. And then if they don't, it's usually inexpensive because like group insurance. So you'll be able to make sure you can get in it. But if you leave, get terminated, quit the job, you no longer have that coverage. So all the money that you kind of fed into it, it's gone. And it's usually not enough in coverage to really take care of your family after you're gone. That's why having a real financial planner sit down with you and see, hey, if you are no longer here, what does the family need? Like we go through questions like, okay, You got kids that want to go to college. They need to sustain life, because if you're the main breadwinner of the home, you have to understand that once you're gone, that money is no longer there. So maybe, they could probably take care of the funeral and probably pay for a couple things, but how long is that going to last?
And especially if you're a young person and you're a young man, you have a family, and your wife is like struggling, you need to be able to say, hey, this will take care of you for 4 or 5 years, till you can figure something out, but you don't want to leave your family strapped for cash and trying to figure life out. Anthony, go ahead.
Now, I was gonna say, even if you're like a single guy in college and stuff like that, you can use life insurance to pay for tuition. Like, I think there's a misunderstanding of what life insurance is. I think for many years, it's like, hey, this is death insurance. If something happens to me, hopefully the family gets the money. I ain't around. Hopefully, I don't know. That's not how it works anymore. It's completely revamped in how this stuff actually works and how I can actually.
How long will it take to pull from something like that, though?
So there's no 59.5-year rule. So I know when with the 401ks and stuff like that, you have to get to 59.5 in order to touch the money, or like you'll get hit with like a bunch of penalties and fees and stuff like that. But life insurance, there's no rule to that. You have access to the money at any time. You'll have limited access the first 10 years until it matures, but you can be like 22, 23. That money will mature and you can take it out.
Wow.
It's yours.
That's really great, especially parents can start the kids young and get what they need.
Oh,
I got some great tools and great tips, man. Go ahead. I want you to give some final thoughts to our audience. I'm going to step away and I want you to keep talking. Give us some powerful final thoughts for our audience to take away, all right?
All right. Well, I'm an avid book reader, so I've been reading a book lately, and I got it in front of me. I was reading it before we hopped on the podcast, but this is by Donald Monastir, and it's called Enhanced Executive Performance. And it's just basically a book about an executive that had a cyber company. And towards the beginning of the book, I got to flip back. He says something very powerful about jobs. Like, so I'm big on not just being self-employed, but learning how to be a business owner. Because self-employed person, you're still trading hours for dollars. When you become a business owner, you're making money whether you wake out of bed or not. And if you're an employee, you have security somewhat, but you're trading hours for dollars and you have no freedom. Because if your boss tells you to come in at 5 a.m, guess what time you come in? Probably like 4:30, because you want to be a good employee. So the little excerpt that I will read for y'all, it says, so much of our life is spent working at our respective jobs. It happens to be fortunate enough, if you happen to be fortunate enough to love what you do, you'll find that it impacts your ability to transition from the rigors of a job into a successful career. And I know I don't want to sound ungrateful for the employers that employ countless employees into the workforce, but few organizations seek creating career paths for people. They don't create career paths or career planning. They just put you into a rat race to fill a position. And if jobs start helping people have career paths to where they can level up in the company or whatever have you, I think people will be more excited to go work, and they'll put more energy and effort into whatever that career and occupation is. Because a lot of times we go to work just to make income enough to go back to work, and that's a problem. And there's no real buy-in to the job or to the occupation. You're ready to leave whenever. So career pathing is a big deal. It's a huge deal in my mind, because I talk to people all the time. I'm like, hey, if I was working with you on your job and I wanted to make $150,000 a year, how would I do it? How would I make $200,000 a year at your job? I'm like, man, not in my job.
Right.
Like, what's the plan? What's the path? Oh, you don't have one. We do. With our company, we have a path. Whatever income you're solving for, we have a path and a plan to get there. That's my final thoughts.
Well, thank you so much, Anthony. So much. Thank you. I appreciate you. Hold tight. And tell them again how to get in touch with you.
So you can reach us on Facebook at Anthony N. Taylor Holland, the letter N, Taylor Holland, on Facebook. And then Instagram is Anthony Holland 77. And then my wife's is Taylor Holland 1993. And then you message us on one of those platforms. We'll shoot you over to TikTok if you're a TikToker.
Man, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much. I hope that somebody listens, and I hope somebody calls you too, so they can get some insurance and everything else they need. All right. Hold tight for me in the green room, okay?
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for coming on. Listen, we want to thank Anthony Holland for coming live on Phil and Friends. Listen, step out on faith, trust in God. Use your talents and gifts to create your own business your own way. And make sure you call Anthony and his wife. You're watching Phil and Friends right here on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. I'll see you guys later. Peace.